All right, my friends, we are in I month still. Finishing up. I'm going to try to share my screen just one more time. We're finishing up I month, so we're doing some review. You know, I don't think it's going to work. I tried the last two classes to share my typical tablet screen, which I did fix. However, now Zoom is having a little bit of a bug, it seems. And when I share my screen, you're not able to see it. So I'm going to try sharing my computer screen to see if you can see that. So let me get this all situated for you instead of my tablet screen. All right, you tell me, can you see this? Please let me know, yes or no. Can you see what's on my screen? Can you see the lesson pulled up? Hallelujah. That is good news. Nice. All right, let me get this all blown up. And get my little annotator here. All right. So before let me just stop sharing real quick, because I want to review a little bit of what we've learned about I so far. We've learned that when we're reading an I and we can see that there's another vowel 1 or 2 doors down, we know that that I is going to say its name and say I. That long sound I is a diphthong, which means the sound changes from the front to the back of it, from the top to the bottom of it. Your mouth changes shape. So the sound comes out as a continuum. I. But that has to be counted as one sound for our purposes, and for when you're reading that long sound, you'll know that it's that multitude of micro sounds. You know that when an I has 2 consonants after it, it's going to say I. Or if it's a consonant and then the end of the word, it will say I. You'll also know that when you see an Y at the end of a short word, it will say I. And when you see IGH, it also says I, and those are usually in the middle of short words that end with a T. And then lastly, but I don't know if this was in this review, we're going to review I for the next 2 lessons also. And so these last 2 review patterns that we've learned are going to be mostly in next week's lesson, but I'll just remind you today, or Wednesdays. I'll remind you also about that TI and the CI. TI says shh in words like nation, election, when it's toward the end of a multisyllable word and there's a vowel after it. Same with CI. It also says shh when it's toward the end of a multisyllable word and there's a vowel after it. The CI is typically in professions or careers. All right, so let's get reading. All right, so let's do this first word together. So here we have a digraph blend. It's not a consonant blend, it's a digraph blend, because one of the consonant sounds is a digraph, 2 letters that spell one sound. And then this Y is an example of that I sound at the end of words, the long I sound. When you see Y at the end of a short word, it will say I. But not when Y is at the end of a multisyllable word. Only sometimes will it say I then. So when Y is at the end of a longer word, it will usually say E. But when it's at the end of a short word, meaning it's the only vowel, Y is the only vowel. And Y is a vowel if it's not the first letter. So when Y is the only vowel in that word and it's the last letter, it will say I. So this word is I, thry. So what is your word over here? Take a second. Here's another digraph blend. Make sure that you form the sound of that R with intention. You kind of have to push out that R sound in this word. So this Y is saying I because it's at the end of a 1-syllable word. Our digraph blend is sh, and then I. So we have shry. Shry. It's not a very easy word to wrap your tongue around because of that R just the way that your mouth is shaped when it makes the SH sound and then going into the R and then over to the I, you kind of have to really focus on making sure that you get all three sounds. Shry, shry. All right. Number 2. Let me try to remember how to use this annotator here. There's got to be an easier way. I remember you guys helped me a lot with this last time. Thank you for your patience. All right, so number 2, we have a hard G right here, which G is going to make its hard sound almost always unless the next letter is an E, I, or Y. This is a 2-letter consonant blend. Now this I is going to say I because of the tap 2 rule. There are 2 T's after it. And this I, is it going to say I? There are 2 consonants after it, but those particular 2 consonants are a GH. That IGH says I. Usually it's in the middle of short words that end with a T, but once in a while it'll be at the end of a word like sigh or thigh. Okay, so this IGH might have been tempting for us to think about that I as a short I sound because of the tap 2 rule, but if it's a IGH, it trumps the tap 2 rule and says I. So our sounds are G, R, I, T, I, grit-I, grit-I. So what would this word, just for fun, said with only one T? If that word had only one T in it, it would then say grit-I, grit-I. All right, what is your word over here? Take a second and try to read this one. Okay. I used to try and sound out the S and H separate. Oh, really? So when you saw an SH in a word, Blair, your brain automatically went to the single sounds. It went S and then it went H. But now, can your subconscious pick it up as a digraph, as just one sound pretty easily? I hope so. And then James, it was hard, but when I spaced it, it made it easy. Shh. Right. Oh, that's a good strategy. I love that. Yeah, Blair. Good. I'm so happy to hear that. So much progress you've made. All right. So this I is going to say I because of the tap 2 rule. This I is not going to say I because of the tap 2 rule, even though some people might think it could. You now know that when those 2 consonants happen to be a GH, then this whole unit must say I. When you see an IGH, the whole unit says I. So we have B, R, I, P, I, brip-I, brip-I. What would that word have said with only one P? Bri-pie. Right? Okay. Moving on up. I would like you to try this number 3 right here without me. Go for it. You have a digraph blend here, and then I'm not going to mark it. I'm going to let you mark it on your own. I have a feeling you guys are having fun now that you are understanding reading. If it's getting fun, that is just reason to celebrate, because you have the tools now, right? You know how to mark each vowel. You know exactly what each vowel is going to say. You know how to blend the sounds with precision. You know how to read without guessing. You know how to recognize digraphs and units like IGH. You're getting it. All right, so here we have a long I because of the tap 2 rule. Here we have a short I because of the tap 2 rule. This digraph blend says and then we have I, t, I, d. Thrited. Thrited. How did you do on thrited? Give me a Y. Yes, you got it. Or A almost, please, on thrited. Gorgeous. I was hoping you would say that. Why does the first I, A, E? I'm not quite sure I understand the question, Beverly. Why does the first I, A, E, I? Are you talking about the sound of I? Because that's that diphthong, the sound changes shape? Why isn't the first I a short E sound? Oh, I love your question. So Beverly asked, why isn't the first I a short E sound? In this one right here, I love this question because it has a very definite answer. I will never pronounce an E sound. There you go. If you hear an E sound, it's only going to be spelled with an E and very rarely an A. Never an I. So an I will only say I or I. Those are its only options for I. It doesn't have any other choice. Unless it's part of the digraph like TI or CI, then it will just disappear. But I in the middle, if it's in the middle syllable. Oh, is that why you were wondering why? Because I love that question too. Because there is no middle syllable in this word. And in order for it to be in order for an I to be in the middle syllable, it must be a 3-syllable or longer word for there to be a middle. And this word only has 2 syllables. You can tell because there are 2 vowels that don't touch. So that confident rule doesn't apply. That's what you were talking about. I love that. So yeah, that neither one of those I's can make it short sound because of the confident rule, because the confident rule is only for I's in the middle syllable. So there has to be a vowel before it that doesn't touch it, a vowel after it that doesn't touch it in order for that I to make it short sound. We were all taught wrong. I remember the same thing and I don't even think about it anymore. Yeah, sorry about all of that miseducation, but you're here now and you're learning now and you're able to educate the next generation. Let's hop down to number 4. Try this number 4 right here. What would this word say? I'm going to mark it, but I want you to read it. You're welcome, Beverly. I'm thankful that you asked, because you're probably not the only one that had that question. Yeah, take your time. Be careful, no R's or L's sneak in or sneak out. Okay, so this I is going to say I. Now, our subconscious has been reading for a long time. Even if reading hasn't been easy, we've been seeing words our whole life. And so your subconscious might be picking up those first 5 letters and just want to say strip, right? It wants to say strip because it recognizes that unit within that longer word. However, you now know how to take control of reading and not let your subconscious just spit out things that it just thinks is correct. You now know exactly what's happening in this word and why. You know that this I says I because there's another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. This I says I because of 2 reasons, the tap 2 rule and the confident rule. There's a vowel before it that doesn't touch it and a vowel after it that doesn't touch it. That qualifies it to be in the middle syllable. So it says I for 2 reasons. This I says I also because of the tap 2 rule. So our sounds are, nice long word. Here we have a 3-letter consonant blend. So S, T, R, I, P, I, N, D, I, M. Successive blending. easiest way to not let any sounds in or out. St, stir, stry, stripe, stripey, stripin, stripined, stripined, stripindim, stripindim. Make sure you grab that R. Stripindim. How did you do? Y or A? Yes or almost for stripindim? Good. Good. I want to come down here to the extra practice for the last one. That's how we clear it. I remember now. If you want me to do one with you, which one would you like? Put it in the Q&A. Any requests? Number 8? Okay, go ahead and do number 8. Be careful you have a digraph blend there. We were just talking about that. That says 1 sound, not 2. Go ahead and try number 8 on your own. I'm not going to mark it. I'm going to let you do it. Yeah, right, Blair? I know. Our subconscious, it just kind of likes to take over sometimes. Okay, my friends. So we have this I that's going to say I, because there are 2 consonants after it. Same with this I. Plus it's in the middle syllable, so it gets to say I for 2 separate reasons. Tap 2 and confident. This I also says I because of the tap 2 rule. So our sounds are sh, I, p, l, I, f, I, d. 1 sound at a time. Sure, shri, shrip, shripple, shriple, shripliff, shripliffit, shripliffit. It is sure not easy to say sure right here. Make sure you grab that R with intention. Shripliffid. Shripliffid. That R makes it tough. How did you do on that one? Y or A? Nice. Good, Blair. Nice, Sheldon. Nice, Kaylee. Nice, Rowan, Joe, MP, Talon, James, Joseph, Beverly, Julie, Daryl. You either got it or you got close. I know you got close. And even if you didn't read it perfect, you read it by sound. That is totally retraining your brain. I was talking about that on Monday. Getting the word perfect isn't the goal. The goal is to reteach your brain how to read by sound. What you're learning in these classes are why words are spelled the way they are, so that you'll have the tools to know how to sound them out correctly without guessing. It just takes practice to be able to get all of those sounds blended in the right sequence without any of them doing this or this or this, right? That just takes practice, but you are gaining the tools and the knowledge to know what those sounds are going to say. Like today, Blair said, I finally, he knew this previously, but he was taught that, or he went for a while thinking that SH was 2 different sounds. Now it's solid that SH is 1 sound. The IGH might have been kind of confusing before, but now you know that it just is 1 sound. So you're getting all of these tools into your knowledge bank so that when you go to apply your decoding skills, you'll know what sounds you're supposed to be saying for each grapheme. That is the goal. Learning to read by sound and apply the spelling patterns that are taught. That is the goal. All right, so I'm excited about your progress today. Hopefully you are too. Thanks for joining me, everyone, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Bye, everybody. Have a good night.